Oh, yeah. All right. So, gosh, thank you guys, all of you for coming on. And we got a short, not too many today, but that's okay. I'm really excited that everybody's here. And if you have any questions at the end when Sheila presents and stuff, if you can, just raise your hand or, put the little hand thing up and we'll get on you and make sure you get to say things. I want to make sure I say thank you to Molly for running the last meeting. She did a fabulous job. She is just a great person, and she does a fantastic job. And I watched that whole thing, and everybody did great. So I just want to make sure that Molly knows, if she watches this, that we're very appreciative of her doing it. So, hey, Marcia, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good to see you.
It's good to be back.
Oh, back? Where'd you go?
No, back with you guys.
Got it.
I've been away for a few months.
We missed you.
Well, thank you.
Good seeing you. Well, I'm going to get right into it with Sheila because of her timing, and we want to get this all presented so then we can have question and answer. So Sheila, is it Thielen? Sheila? Yeah, is going to present for us today. She is the owner of it's a vestibular training services. And what's your website again, Sheila?
Spinyourbrain.com. I put it in the chat.
Oh, hello, spinyourbrain.com. And I'm just really excited. I don't know a lot about Sheila. We've talked once. I'm just very excited to have her come on here. I've looked at some of the stuff that she does. She's on Instagram a lot, and there's a ton of information that she does there. So I'm going to ask you, Sheila, if you don't mind, to tell us a little bit more about yourself before you get started, and we'd love that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I was just on Aaron's show. So I feel like it just feels like so much this week. I'm so excited. So I'm Sheila Thielen, and I always open up with the fact that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a PT. I'm not a doctor. I am a master figure skating coach. And it sounds weird, but I've been doing this for over 30 years in coaching, and I've owned the company for 28 years. And I always remember it because my son is 27 and I was pregnant when I started the company with him. And so I had this harness company, and we actually are the #1 sports figure skating training harness company in North America. I was saying we're probably #1 in the world, but I couldn't get the numbers out of the Russians to prove that. So I'm just going with North America. So yeah, we've been doing this forever, but I really come from children and athletes, and I've worked with everything from 3-year-olds through Olympians like you see on television. I've worked with them somewhere along their careers. And although I'm in figure skating, we don't get to be called an Olympic coach unless you're the one head coach of that athlete. That's the only one person that gets to say they're the Olympic coach. So the rest of the coaching staff doesn't get to say that. So I can say I'm an Olympic developmental coach, but I don't get to say that I'm an Olympic coach, even though I've worked with so many Olympians. So I find that fascinating. But I expanded the company in 2020, which was a great time to expand your company. It was the worst time ever. And I did it. And basically what my company is moving from just the sports world to the general population. And that's what our exciting process has been. And where not only have we enjoyed it, but we've learned so much, even as a company and myself. And it's been so fascinating to watch people's improvements. And that's what today's all about.
Awesome. Thank you. So do you have more that you want to present to us, or let's start there and then we can start having a question and answer after that?
Right, so you're gonna turn me into the host and I can let
Okay.
more people in if they pop in. I
All
can
right.
watch screens, I'm a multi-screen
Perfect.
watcher here. And now I'm the host, great. So then I can screen share and just kind of show you what my product really is. And if you really look at it, of course, it looks like sports training tools. But before I share, hold on one second, before I share, I just want to talk about what the vestibular system is. Okay. And what the vestibular system is it's these three little canals right inside your eardrum. So here's your eardrum. So here's your eardrum. Stick your finger in your ear. Oh, there's your eardrum. Okay. It's just right on the inside. But this vestibular system, these little three semicircular canals control, I know it sounds crazy, your entire life. Okay. Your entire life. It's how your eyes and ears process back into your brain. And it's tied to 20 major things. Yet in the same sense, your vestibular system, oh my goodness, the three big ones that we talk about all the time is it's connected to your balance, your cognitive processing speed, and your non-spatial disorientation. So like think of like driving, a crowded room, coming in and out of buildings, all of those processes. Your vestibular system really takes control over. And I always talk about nobody knows what it is until it breaks. And that's when people are like, oh, I have vertigo and I've got really bad dizziness and my brain is slowing down because your processing speed has changed because of that vestibular system. So let me just I'm going to screen share because I have shocking, crazy videos and I have really slow videos. But I kind of like to start with the shocking ones just because you can see how I really came to this whole group here. So I always love my shocking ones because this is some of the videos that NASA loved. And you're going to laugh. I have a really busy desktop, but I recently was in Australia. So I presented and I was at the Sydney Opera House. So this is one of my favorite crazy fast videos of this girl that NASA used in one of their presentations. Because even NASA was like, how'd you do that? Because at the end, she's going to tell us she's not dizzy. Okay. So we can crank her up. And oh my gosh, look at this kid rotate. Okay. Is that just make you dizzy just looking at it? Makes you so dizzy just looking at it. And this girl, but like she's got a midline cross and she's cranking on that vestibular and she's speeding up and she's slowing down. And she's got horizontal, vertical, yaw, balance. She's got all these balance points, but watch this. She'll tell us she's not dizzy. Coming down. And then of course, the most amazing part to the whole story. Okay, how dizzy are you?
I'm not dizzy.
Not that dizzy. Not dizzy at all. Thanks, have a great day.
Is she a skater?
Yeah, she's a skater. But she came to me as like an average athlete, and now she's an elite athlete. She came to me as kind of an average kid, and now she's a really high level academic kid. But you'd think that would be like my number one video. But I'm going to show you my number one video on LinkedIn. It's one of our friends who this is more the reality of that broken vestibular. Okay. So what she's going to do is she's just going to make one turn. So to really be on the gear, I'm going to talk about the downsides. You have to be able to stand. You have to be able to.
I didn't hear that.
You have to be able to stand, like stand up. So really, there's other products out there if you're wheelchair bound, but you do have to stand. And weirdly, it takes so much cognitive processing just to handle this. But notice she's doing horizontal, vertical, yaw. She moves her head around and she's just working on her balance at that same time. And I'm going to tell my happy story about her. She hasn't fallen since she's worked with me 5 minutes once a week.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the exciting part. So as we talk about stroke patients and we talk about the aging process, I'm just going to quick show one of my doctor friends who's been using the gear because he was a dizzy balance specialist who is dizzy himself. And And what they do is at one point they pan to the side, they pan here to the left, and you'll see his 8-year-old running the gear. Okay, like it's super easy gear to run, but the 8-year-old is running it in the background. So I'll just quick show him for just like 45 seconds here real quick.
Hi LinkedIn friends, it's been great to be with you all this year. I've really enjoyed your posts, got a lot of new connections. Hit it, Liam. Happy New Year to you all. You're probably thinking about possibly starting some New Year's resolutions, and that might include working out. I want to thank Sheila Thielen. She has allowed me to train with her vestibular spinning devices and harness. It's been a very interesting experience. I have been training for 2 months, and I started at 10 spins, and now I'm up to 30, and I can actually talk while I'm standing on the platform, which is pretty cool. My dizziness that I get at the end is minimal, and we're going to show that to you. I'm going to have you video my eyes at the end, but my point is that our bodies can compensate, and they can adapt. Whether it be you have an inner ear problem, or you have muscle weakness, or a neurological problem, if we can stimulate our bodies at the right dosage, at the right consistency, over a period of time, we will get better. So stick with your New Year's resolutions and go after it. Second thing I want to tell you, it's really cool, is that our inner ears move our eyes when we move our bodies. Our inner ears also help us see clearly when we move our heads. And so part of spinning training is trying to train that reflex not to hit quite so hard when we spin. Sheila's ice skaters have fascinated me because they can spin and their eyes don't hit hard after spinning like tornadoes. So it's amazing. So come on in and get this video. You can see maybe my nystagmus. I have purposefully tried not to fixate or focus on anything so that it would keep hitting hard. But when my eyes are spinning like that, I'm trying not to focus on the camera. I feel spinning. Now my spinning is gone. Point is, for all of those of you who are battling dizziness, or are a therapist or a doctor, an audiologist who's helping people with dizziness, you know, one thing.
He keeps talking. I'll stop him there, but you can see what it really is it really is just a gentle spinning platter. And I used to think I had to crank on people as hard as the kids. Like I used to think it had to be a tilt-a-whirl to see improvements. And I have to tell you, I'm absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Because really, in just slow, gentle turns, we were able to improve everyone's balance, you know, and I didn't have to make it a tilt-a-whirl, and I didn't have to make it be so fast that you threw up. Yeah, like that's not fun. So what we ended up doing is we teamed up with another company called Body Tracks, which is a balance mat. So we would test people in advance, 10 seconds, eyes open with 2 feet balance, and then we'd test 10 seconds, eyes closed, and then go do the harness and spinner, and then come back and retest. I have to quick show the results of my 76-year-old mom, okay, who had several falls, is why she came to me. So let me just quick show the improvements here. So she started out, and you can, and the interesting part of these balance mats is there's so many physical therapists have these. And my mom started out with a horrible score of over 7 inches of head sway in 10 seconds with her eyes open. So like her head's really weaving, kind of like what do you call those little teeter-totters? Yeah, she's really moving. She had 22 inches of foot movement in that 10 seconds. And you can see her balance is all over the place. But when we really looked at it and I talked to her about it, the red dot right here is her head. And I'm like, have all your falls been forward and to the left? And she's like, yes, they have, when she really thought about it. So we put my mom on the gear. And once again, the nice part is I'm only talking about 5 minutes, you know, twice a week, or 5 minutes, you know, once a week, you know, nothing scary or hard or overwhelming. So I put my mom on the gear. And you can kind of see in the background, it's got like the little control box, and right behind it is the foot pedal. So I can control the direction and the speed, and that's all I need to do. And then just step on the little pedal. You can't really see the pedal in the picture. There we go. But then it's just gentle turning. So with that, what it really does is it's how the eyes and ears process back into the brain, but it's a lot of stimulation. It's a lot of processing to be able to do this. So in the end, she's going to do about 7 turns counterclockwise. She'll rest for 1 minute. We'll go back 7 or 8 turns clockwise, rest for a minute, and then go 1 more time for a total of 3 sets back counterclockwise. So counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise. Nothing hard, nothing scary, nothing overwhelming. And then here's her post test. Here it comes. Here we go. So her post test is shockingly different. So she goes from that 7.14 inches of head sway down to 0.18 in just 5 minutes of vestibular training. She goes from 22.79 inches of foot movement in 10 seconds, more than half, cut in half, to 9.81. She goes from 4 circles of the bullseye down to the center 2, stays in that center circle. She's still got a lot of movement, but it's all quieting down into that center zone of her balance. So this is the exciting part of our company for not just, I mean, of course, stroke patients, but in addition, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. We also are excited. We're doing a lot of work with children with autism. And oh my goodness, it's shocking to see what these kids with autism can do on the gear. The interesting part is they don't get dizzy. Children with autism, I can spin them 100 times up in the sky, fly them, spin them, just keep them spinning crazy, and they don't get dizzy. So like, let's talk about the human brain and all the crazy things the human brain can do. So we're working with athletes. We're working with post-concussion. We're also working with traumatic brain injuries, specifically even NFL and NHL athletes have been coming to work with us. So, and once again, all seeing improvements. Although when I talk about how it applies to your everyday life, of course, better balance, better athlete or better you, same thing, faster brain processing speed, better you, and better decision-making, which I think is really the key part of a recovery period, of really decision-making for yourself and for others as you're healing. So this has been our project. We also just got our US patent. So we think we're really, really cool. And I feel like I have a great patent attorney. So excited about that. So we just got our US patent. And but the weird part is we're an old company. We've already solved all of our problems, and the fact that we've been doing this for 28 years. So it's very exciting. But the application to the general public has really been stunning for us. And I was telling Aaron on his show, I really don't care about the money. I only care that we make payroll. I care a little bit about the money. I just got to make payroll every 2 weeks. As long as we're making payroll, I don't care. But all I care about are outcomes. And that's all I care about, to the point I'm obsessed with this project of how many people we can help and how many groups we can help and how we can change people's lives. That's all I care about.
That's awesome.
And making payroll. But other than that, we're in good shape. So so does anyone have any questions? Like this is so lovely, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
I have 2 questions. This is Gunnar from Hawaii. And I've got tone in my left leg because I had a really bad brainstem stroke that took out my whole left side. So looking up has always made me dizzy. And would this affect that portion of looking up and that balance? And what's your RPMs? How fast are you spinning?
So you're going to love this. It's all personally adjustable. Every person can have it done specifically to their needs. So like it can go like the one lady, so slow, and it's just one turn. And the nice part of this too is you do have the freedom to move your head as you're doing. And I have lots of people that don't. They don't like to move it. They just hold their head straight, and that's enough, that they just hold their head straight. The interesting part of the vestibular system, and actually one of the things that they're talking about through COVID with especially children, that when they stop, remember when we were kids, how you'd roll and play and jump and go outside, and now all kids do is look at their screens all day long. And so then because of that, the kids aren't moving their heads enough. So really, young children are showing significant, almost stroke-like behavior because they don't move their heads enough, and that vestibular system hasn't really moved. There's a whole rash of children now that are toe walkers. They just walk on their toes because they don't move their heads enough. And it's really 6 months of PT to get the kids to walk like humans again, heel to toe. So these are all the little pieces of the vestibular.
So the question I have is this, does this reduce tone? Is what I want to know.
Now,
Does this affect tone in any way, or is it just balance?
so it's an excellent question. And I have to say, I don't know that it does that, other than it does force you to balance on both feet. So I do have people, I've worked with several amputees that brought their balance back to center. So even though they were a mid-left thigh amputee, I got their balance back to center. And so in that sense, I think it would help tone, just because it forces you to really balance on both feet at the same time. But it's not like a bike or something like that could also do it. You know, it's not a biking motion.
Sheila, did I miss it? Because Gunnar was asking does it help with looking up and being dizzy? Did you answer that?
A little bit, because like really keeping your head straight, you could do that on the spinner too. Yet you do have the ability to move your head on it, that it could train it. It would take some training. But
Yeah.
that's also where the body harness comes into play too, that even if that did make you dizzy and you felt off balance, the body harness would catch you.
Thank you.
In the first year after my strokes, which were 7 years ago on April Fool's Day, okay? If I would, no joke, if I would lean forward, I may as well just keep going. I would roll forward. I would just keep going. And raising my head up would make me want to fall backwards. I just couldn't, this motion was just disconnected from the rest of my body. I just couldn't keep my balance. So I'm very interested in this.
Yeah, like one of those canals was completely not working, you know, and that's the crazy part. Those 3 little semicircular canals really tie to everyone and everything. So yeah, I can totally understand exactly what you're talking about, Gunnar. Absolutely.
What's the name of your company again?
The company's name is Vestibular Training Services.
I put the link in the chat.
Oh yeah, thank you. So yeah, but we joke we have the world's worst marketing guy, because you have to be able to spell vestibular, you know, like it's terrible. So we also have a side website that leads into the main website, which is what I put in the chat too, of spinyourbrain.com, because it's you got to spell vestibular.
Is this available everywhere, or is it?
Yes, so we ship worldwide. We have gear all over the world. We also have half our sales going into people's homes. And I'm going to say too, it's not inexpensive. It's $9,950 of gear, but it also includes the eye bolt, you know, like for the ceiling. So it just needs an eye bolt and a plug-in and you're ready to go. 10 to 14 foot ceilings, but even for shorter people, we have ours on a 9-foot ceiling, and it works just fine for what I need it to do.
Let me run a quick question by you, Sheila, while I'm thinking about it. How often, let's say you bought it, you purchased it, how often would you want to do this?
So the answer is, everyone's in a different situation. Most of my athletes do it every single day. I'm told that the Russian athletes do it 3 times a day. Of course, those poor Russian kids are like, more is better, you know, but my mom does it once a week, 5 minutes once a week, and she's happy with those results. I have worked with several traumatic brain injury people, and they did do it every single day for that 5 minutes. The one other thing though, And we kind of did this on purpose. It takes one other person to run it. So while you're on the gear, you can't run it yourself. It'll just be a tangled mess. So it really is designed that your spouse or your neighbor or your children or somebody else has to hold the rope and run the gear. And we really did that originally so that people wouldn't mess around on the gear. So we figured 2 brains were better than 1. And especially for children, like in kids, we didn't want the kids running it themselves and flying off of it and breaking their wrist, or something like that. So that's part of where that body harness is very comforting. Like, although here's the other downside of the company, you can't be frail. So I talk about if Harriet is 95 years old and has a really, really frail rib cage, like that harness could engage and then she'd break her ribs, so if you're frail, this isn't the product for you either.
Mhm.
I saw someone raise their hand. Hi, Aaron, go ahead.
Hey, Sheila, I'm curious, just so you people know, could you repeat the 3 areas, target areas, your machine or the vestibular responsible for it? I want you to listen to this during the virus.
Right, so the 3 biggest points that it covers is your balance, okay? And once again, that the balance is what makes you human. And when your balance is great, your brain is able to do other things. When your balance is broken, your life is really, really hard, and I think we can all agree with that, at different points of our balance issues, that your life was really hard when your balance is off. But the biggest thing for vestibular is balance. The second thing that's really big is that cognitive processing speed, like how fast your brain can really practice and move. And so many people after they work with me are like, oh, there's lights on. I feel so much more alert. People talk about having like spidey senses, after they work with me, that they just feel so much sharper. And then the third one, the big one, is non-spatial disorientation. Although here's the other big one that I have everybody comment on that I didn't know initially when we started this. Everyone talks about getting really good sleep, like some of the best sleep of their lives. And so look at the additional benefits of that, in getting really good sleep. You feel good. You feel like you can really take on a day versus, remember when our children were small and we weren't getting any sleep? I was crazy. Like I was the crazy young mom because I wasn't getting enough sleep. And so that's when that brain cleans itself. And I really feel like that's a key factor. So it's all these things that vestibular can really do. Although one of the other extra bonuses, one of the 20 things that vestibular can do is also abstract thinking. So isn't that fascinating that vestibular system that leads from your eardrum into your brain is also connected to abstract thinking? I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I brought up Sheila is because, as Sheila knows, I'm kind of head over heels over Twitter been over what the distributor does. And all 3 of those, I don't know if True Survivor did, somewhere or another does not sure about that. But if you're like me in a wheelchair, and Sheila and I have talked about this, there are things we can do and different types of training methods that we can do at home that us in a wheelchair can do. But I'm telling you, there's something magical about this distributor, and I'm doing more and more research on it, but it's something to pay attention to.
I love that. Aaron, thank you. And so Sheila, why don't you expand on that a little bit? He talked about there's things that you can do in a wheelchair. What comes to your mind to tell us?
Lots of options. And the other thing too, on reading up, there's already 49,000 academic papers already published on vestibular. If you just search pubmed.gov, there are 49,000 academic papers already published. So it really talks about this really is a key factor. It's really the master system of the brain. But what you can do, even wheelchair bound, is, I know it sounds basic, but even just keeping that head moving, the more even like figure 8s with your head and looking at something, but then tracking it this way and then looking back at it this way. So keeping that head moving is also all part of those fluids within the vestibular system. So there's also already products out there like spinning chairs, you know, like a spinning chair, you know, that those are out there, even like my office chair. Gently spinning, you know, and even I know it sounds easy, but like even on a spinning chair, like my office chair, crossing my feet over as I move myself as I turn the chair. But even anything that crosses that midline really helps get both sides of your brain connected at the same time. So anything crossing the midline is great, and adding just a little bit of turn to it is all connected to that vestibular.
Boy, to me, it's so exciting because, you know, it's so true that all of these things have an effect on us, and just turning your head and like you talked about, even the kids who are just, you know, looking at the computer all day and all that. I mean, how true is that? I never really thought about that. And you know, having your head move like that is critical to continue to grow. So are there some other questions? There got to be some other questions. Anybody?
Is there a back order or anything? What's the lead time on getting your setup or whatever? Because I'm thinking of suggesting this to my neurologist. I mean, he's someone who would probably jump on this because he's done the deep scan MRIs on my brain a couple of times now, and you know, I've got very little brain left, so it's they're scratching their heads. I shouldn't be here. You know, when you got 1% of your white matter left working, it's
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the answer is 4 to 6 weeks. We have a couple of units always in stock. You know, if you kind of fall into that lump, that you know we can get them out really quick. We do tons of Zoom training, and of course, like half my sales, like say, go into people's homes, but that's really not what we're excited about. You're exactly right. We're excited about getting in with the neurologists, the PTs, the OTs, the physical therapists, the you're gonna love it, the fitness workout places, so that you can go work out your body and your brain at the same time. It's really, we're trying to get into those places, because really to get in with a physical therapist, one set of gear could help 100 people a day. You know, same thing, getting into the schools, 10 units in one school, I could run hundreds of kids through a day on just the, you know, the same gear. So all of this is really our goals, to help more people with one unit than just in your house and helping 4 people and the neighbor kid and a couple of your relatives, you know, which is great.
That is crazy cool because, you know, everybody's so inundated and passionate and all this about going and working out, and they work out their bodies, and you know, everybody's body looks, you know, like diamonds and all this stuff, but
Thank you.
especially Aaron's, but our brains, gosh, we haven't put the energy and the thought into growing our brains. And as stroke survivors, we've got a road ahead of us. Okay. We've got to continue to work on this. This is critical stuff. And that's a passion button for everybody sitting in this room. I'm sure of it. So, man, I had another question. Does it tilt too, Sheila, or no?
No. It's a totally flat surface. So a lot of people actually, they do it in their bare feet, and it does vibrate from the engine underneath it.
Oh,
You know, so you get a little bit of vibration up through your feet. And really the adults don't fly, you know, like the kids do. But there is that option for the kids to take that flight. And to be honest, the kids go nuts on the gear. Although I'm going to say, I've had plenty of 60, 70-year-olds that are like, okay, I saw the kids fly, I want to at least try it. And I'm like, okay, you know, sure, you can try it, you know. So and they talk about it's the craziest time and the best time they've had in years, you know. I mean, but it is stunning. It's almost a little bit like NASA, like it is that feeling of float and fly, and it's almost like an extreme disorientation, because your brain's like, what is going on, what's happening to me? And that's part of the training behind it. is that really the fascinating part is at the 6 to 8 week mark, I can't get you dizzy anymore. I can train the dizzy out of you.
That was gonna be my next question. It was that exact thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A
Other
question.
question, Lonnie?
Yes, are these commonly used in rehab facilities?
It's growing. It's growing. Like I'm moving as fast as I can since 2020. You know, like, and really, the group just kind of keeps growing and growing. I also am in the process with, I'll be honest, a little behind the scenes here, with 3 different major franchise PT companies. One is like 500 locations, one is 800, one is like 1,100 locations that I'm trying to get in with that group. And I'm still in the process of getting my systems in. Everyone says they want it, but making it happen. But then to be in at 1,100 locations for you to be able to just drop into that's the goal. I'm just not quite there yet. I'm getting there. I'm close.
Yeah.
So I'm actually leaving as soon as this meeting's over. I'm going to PT. So I'm going to share this with my PT. And so tell me, the retail purchase price is,
$9,995. So I got it right under 10,000, and you're going to laugh. The reason why is because the US military can credit card swipe that without having to go through purchasing.
It's under 10,000. Yep.
So it's
That's
under
awesome.
10 grand. So
Yep.
they don't need approval. And that's how that price came to be, you know, and
That's
and,
pretty clever.
we do tons of Zoom training, and, you know, and I do tons of in-personal training. Like I just was down in Atlanta with Pro Motocross, and I was there for several days working with all the athletes with Pro Motocross and their training teams. So these are the pieces that I can do, but we have a whole staff. We have a staff, we have, you know, we have shipping, we have a chief medical officer, we have a head physical therapist. We have a chief PhD research coordinators coordinating all of our research papers out of the University of Minnesota. We have Dr. Olson. So like the staff just keeps growing and growing. And all of those people are part of the process to help more PTs and OTs and neurologists be able to bring the gear into their facilities.
I just have one more quick comment that I want to get in, and somebody else can add a question. You know, one of the things that, let's see, how do I say this? One of the things I've been working on since my stroke, which was 8 years ago, is really kind of getting over that fear. You know, the fear of falling, you know, all of the things we do in PT. I really think if PTs could train people to overcome their fear initially, their recovery would be better. So that I was really intrigued when you talked about that, because I can see exactly how this would help you.
Well, and I think you get more brave as you do it. So we start out one
Yeah.
turn, you know, and my other thing that people always talk to me about is like, I feel like I'm never going to get better. Like, this is it, you know, and when you start on our little spin dial, it starts from 0 to 100. And when you start at 17, but then the next session you're at 20, and the next session you're at 22 and 28 and 20, you know, and 39, and you just keep moving up the dial in your ability to not get dizzy from it, you are improving. And there's something really brave about that, but there's also something very gentle about that. Like, but you can see the improvement, but you can feel the improvement. And that, I think, just makes you feel more brave. That body harness.
Absolutely.
I've also had people tell me they want to just buy just the body harness because it's comfy, you know, like it's tight to the body and it just feels really safe, like really, really safe. I've even had one of the kids ask me if she could compete wearing the body harness. And I'm like, no, no, you can't. No, kid.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So-
Aaron, I see your hand up. Go ahead, Aaron.
Thank you, Sheila. Keith, you should pay a lot more attention, bro. But
Get
listen,
on with it.
for those like me that don't have an extra $10,000 sitting around, I'm telling you, Sheila is onto something here. If you have there in a local Circle Hospital, please tell your PT or your OT or whoever, contact Sheila directly. If we get our PTs, our neurologists, or whatever involved in Sheila's program, and get that put in, like she said earlier, get it put inside the room and help hundreds, thousands maybe within a couple of months. I mean, now you and I may not be afford that 10 G's, but your PT, your big hospital sure can. So I encourage you to get all of Sheila and definitely get it put in. Not only help you, but help all the other service providers, because this vestibular is really, really critical. I ain't
very
telling
good.
you, it's probably the cornerstone of our issues. I get.
We agree.
Good, Aaron. I appreciate that. Not one thing I will do is when I send out the replay of this, I'll make sure all of her information is on there. And Sheila, are you okay if I include your email address as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like to do that, and that way people can touch base with you and all that. Gunnar, did you have another question, buddy?
Yes. Is there a case of anyone not improving from this treatment?
Okay, you're gonna love the answer. My group that scores the worst are teenage boys. Okay, it's teenage boys, because I really think that frontal lobe hasn't developed enough. You know, like I get the corniest scores for teenage boys. But my little girls, my teenage girls, they do great. And anyone after like 20 years old, I get really, really consistent numbers on from everybody, and everyone improves. And just to add to it, I worked with some local police and SWAT team here in Minneapolis. And so the guys went and shot at the gun range first and they scored it. And then they came and worked with me and did my balance mat, the spinner, back to the balance mat. Every single one of the guys improved their balance on the balance mat and their processing, the reactionary time on the balance mat. And then they all went back to shoot again, to reshoot. And so far, 100% of my guys have significantly improved their scores, even according to the gun range master that scored the two shoots.
Wow.
So,
That's impressive.
yeah, but like,
That-
once again, like if I improve your balance and I make your brain process faster, you're gonna do better shooting. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
you're gonna do better at your job. You're gonna do better walking. You're gonna do better driving your car. And these are all the pieces that
I'll tell
apply
you-
to the real world.
I'll tell you, Sheila, it's like, you can't keep up with the marketing and all that would be needed, because, there isn't too many folks out there, too many things out there that don't need some kind of, especially if they tried it first. Wow, that's incredible. That's really cool. Yeah.
So that's actually our biggest concern in our company. Like when we sit down to staff meetings, the big concern is, oh, like we're going to get 2,000 orders this week and next week. What if we got 5,000? Like, oh no, we can't keep up. Like, to be honest, like that's our over concern, is that we're trying not to over market, because
Do you manufacture as well?
yes, we manufacture. So all my manufacturers are here in the United States. The rigging and the harnesses come out of Minnesota, and the spinner comes out of Delaware. So everything's made here in the States, nothing plastic, no weird China things, it's all here in the States, and we have really pretty good control over it. But we joke that I can't do 5,000 this week.
Well, there's also a plus.
I don't know,
There's also a plus to growing it as you can and keeping things under control. Yeah.
That's our goal, is to keep it under control as we move forward. So
Yeah.
What comes with the unit? Does it have that display that shows your balance and head movement and all that stuff?
So
What
it
all
comes-
comes with
it comes with a Newfoundland. It comes with dogs.
it?
Kidding.
I'll take the new feet. Yeah.
Okay, get it. Back up, Doug. It comes with the harness and spinner. It comes with the spinner and all of the gear. It comes with the rigging and the eye bolts, and it comes with 4 body harnesses for all different sizes. So from 20 pounds up to 350 pounds. The balance mat is a separate company entirely. And the balance mat is about $4,000 from another company called Body Tracks. and we can help set up those orders too. But most PTs already have that stuff, and most of them use body tracks, to be honest. Like, so that's part of how we ended up with them, is that all the other PTs were using this company called Body Track. And so that's what we got too. So most of the PTs and OTs already own that. But it's about $4,000 to buy one. But it's one of the coolest things I ever
Sheila,
bought.
can I say one more thing, honey?
Oh, wait a second. Aaron, do you need my permission first?
No, no. I only need Sheila's. I love you, Keith, you know.
I love you too, buddy.
This, if like me, nobody gets stuck in the price. There's a bigger mission here. And that's to get this into our PTs, get these into our stroke hospital. That really is our main. I mean, if you guys want to do something that really will change people's lives, get Sheila's equipment into Kaiser, into Sutter, into different hospitals. That really is where, I mean, she and I got to talk about that. She didn't know this yet. But I think it's, if we can get the stroke community out, getting these into hospitals where people like us get to them.
That's a great
I
point.
mean, you're talking about a game changer, really,
Yeah.
because I've been still in wheelchair, but I first had my brain injuries and stroke. I couldn't even sit up in bed, on the edge of bed, I'd fall over. And if they have one of these machines in my therapy hospital, it would have changed my outcome completely.
Absolutely, bud. I appreciate hearing that, because that's so true. And we've got to work on how to get that done. And I'm sure Sheila is all over that, and her marketing team. And I hope you are. Sheila, I want to say thank you so much, because, you may not see, and of course you talked to Aaron too, but before that, you may not see the stroke community being that big of a, but we have impact, and we are growing. Our communities, Aaron's, Michael's, Marcia, ours, Lanae, I mean, everybody in here, really, we are growing this. That's a movement that's happening right now. And I'm telling you, it's a huge thing, and we're making a difference. And so, yeah, it's so good to have you a part of this. And we'll continue to, and we need to stay together, you and I, and talk once in a while, and keep moving this thing forward.
That's my goal. I mean, I know it sounds great. I want to change the world, and not sound crazy for saying that. And you're going to laugh. Guess how much I charge my clients to use the gear? $10.
$10.
$10.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and the gear all got paid off very quickly, like in less than 2 months. The gear paid off at $10 a person, and it paid off. I had to talk about my truck didn't get paid off in 2 months, and
Well,
like the house didn't,
I want to make one other quick comment to everybody here. Sheila is obviously so passionate about her product, and it's been years and years that she's had this thing. And I just want us all to recognize Sheila for what she's done throughout. Yeah. And we're thankful for you, Sheila. And it's a big deal. I'm not joking. It's a big deal. And we're up against the clock, but gosh, we certainly appreciate all of this. I will make sure that I send out your web address and your email address, if that's okay. And let's keep moving this ball forward.
Well, and I just read a paper saying that it takes 17 years for things to really come to the market. And when I read that, I cried reading that. The fact that it could take 17 years to get to people, and the inner coach in me and the leadership, I'm a rhinoceros. I just move forward every day. We're not stepping backwards. We're just going forward. But I feel like as a community, 17 years is absolutely unacceptable to to have anything come to market. Boy, it didn't take that long for COVID meds to come to market, especially when there was so much money involved. Yeah, and I got a whole thing on, but these are people's lives that are more important than money.
Yeah.
And if we as a community can move forward, this doesn't take 17 years to get to market. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you. I'm gonna ask you to hang on for a couple more minutes. Oh, Marcia.
So have you thought about doing a TED Talk?
I'd love to do a TED Talk. Whoa, I'd love that. Oh, so much fun. I've been at several medical conferences and that group keeps growing. I keep getting asked to more of those. I spoke in Europe and I got booked into like 23 other other medical conferences out of the one in Europe.
So I think if you want something of more consumer nation, so like if you want me to come look for something, I have to know about it. If my doctor knows about it, it doesn't help me.
Mhm.
So, I'm just thinking that maybe you want to do a TED Talk or something along those lines.
That'd be so fun. My family would die. What, a TED Talk? You know, I would be so excited. So
That was a great point,
there any-
Marcia. I totally understand where you're coming from on that. Gunnar, go ahead real quick.
Is there any marketing brochures or something that I can turn my doctors and hospitals onto? Some way that I can connect to you, so that they can understand what we've just been witnessing today, because this is just super exciting.
the website, you know, I just kick everyone through the website, you know. Yeah, it's the easiest way to find, because all the contact stuff's on there. We have a bunch of videos on there. We have some military clips on there of even some Blackhawk pilots talking about how much they
What's
improved.
that web address?
Spinyourbrain.com.
Spinyourbrain.com.
I put in chat.
Yeah, and I'll make sure that it's on the replay as well. So if you guys are getting those replays, you'll see it as well. But it is easy, Sheila. Thanks. Spinyourbrain.com. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to start wrapping up. Hang tough, Sheila, for if you can. Are there any stroke anniversaries today or this month? Anybody had their?
I had mine on April 1st.
That's right. That's right, Gunnar.
Gunnar.
Two at the
That's-
same time.
Hilarious. Only you could have a stroke on April 1st.
And two on the same day. I mean, two at the same time. I don't do anything halfway, right?
Oh, Gunnar,
The
that's
occipital-
awesome, buddy.
So the occipital one took out the vision of my right eye. That's back to 100%. And the brainstem stroke took out my left side. And you can see how this works now. This was 7 years ago. For 2 weeks, I couldn't even open my hand. Could
You
not
are-
open my hand until they put the TENS unit, the NMES unit on my arm and opened my hand 10 times. And the first day it didn't take. So I insisted they try it again the second day, 10 times, and it took. And
Wow.
as soon as I knew I could open my hand, I knew everything else could follow and I could come back.
I love that, Gunnar,
What's
because it's that knowledge and belief in
Yeah,
yourself
Believe.
that makes a huge difference, my friend. And we could talk about
Absolutely.
that more and more, but great. Real quick, you guys, I've got persistent pain coming up, the next one, then peer support group. There's a Steve Van Houten's going to talk about that. I got Dr. Kobe Haynes with brain health coming on the week after, and then Gail Flans, life after stroke. So we got a big lineup. I so appreciate all of you guys so much. And one last time, Sheila, oh my gosh, that was awesome. And you are awesome. And we appreciate you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Anybody else? Any quick comments? Aaron,
Thank you.
coming on, buddy.
Outstanding.
Michael, Diane, all you guys, appreciate you all, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you. Thanks,
Right.
Keith.
Thank you,
Aloha.
guys. Bye-bye.
So much Yeah, could you could do, if you could just get hooked up to the right thing and cooperate as a team, but
Sheila, I
Yeah.
just wanted to say, thank you so much. I really appreciate you and,
I'm
all
trying
that
to.
you've
I've hit the thing.
done and, I can't even express it. So I appreciate you so
I've hit
much.
cancel. Hit everything.
There we go.
Really appreciate you. I want you to know that. And we do need to stay, together, as we move forward.
So grateful and really appreciate the support. Yeah, like I said, my husband's like, so did you sell, 3 million units this week? And I'm